Hey, this is Adam Torres, and I'm here to tell you that it has never been easier to start your very own podcast. At Mission Matters, our goal is to amplify stories that matter. That means we want to help you start your podcast because your story matters. We can do this in 3 different ways. 1, join our podcast school and take a free or paid course. 2, visit our resources page where we've already figured out what you need, such as where to host your podcast. Or 3, heck, we can even do everything for you through our podcast agency, including editing for cheaper than you can do in-house. Oh, and no contract, service is month to month. Get started by heading over to missionmatters.com and click on Start a Podcast. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres to keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today I have Ann Sieg on the line, and she is founder and CEO over at E-Commerce Business School. Ann, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Great to be here, Adam. Appreciate it.
So, Ann, I have to tell you, really excited about today's topic. We're going on 3,000 episodes recorded, and I don't think I've ever done a single episode on Amazon retail arbitrage, which is what we're going to talk about today. So, really excited to have you on the show to bring that information to my audience. But before we get into that, I do want to go a little bit further into your background and what you're doing over at E-Commerce Business School. So, tell us a little bit more about your school, please.
Well, we bring people into our e-commerce training and mentorship program, starting with our 3 pillars of e-commerce success. And that is number 1, generate cash flow, which is to jumpstart your business and keep it going. Number 2 is to automate systems to free up your time and scale up your business. And number 3 is build assets to pass on to your family or sell to investors for a profit.
I know you prefaced that by saying, for e-commerce, but I think your top 3 are pretty wise for people to do in any type of business.
Very
3 of the goals.
That's right. The smart people go, wait a minute, we want that in every business. But not every business has those 3 pillars, do they? So it bears repeating.
Fantastic. So, I think this is a great segue too. So let's dive into today's topic. So, Amazon retail arbitrage. Maybe first define that for us, and then teach us some of what you know, because this is interesting.
Yeah. I'm excited to talk about this. I really am. We've been teaching this for 7 years. All right.
7 years. Hold on. 7 years you've been teaching this, and I'm just hearing about it. Continue.
Yeah, and I'm talking the arbitrage method. So what I'm going to just preface and say right from the get-go, it is the most reliable, dependable, and predictable sourcing method that you can utilize as an Amazon third-party seller. If they go out on the wide world web, they go to YouTube, whatever, they're going to see a lot of different options, but they will not have full context. They may think of sourcing from China, for example, or I'm going to do wholesale, or I'm going to do print on demand, I'm going to do Shopify. There's all this slew of options out there. The one I'm talking about, hands down, is the absolute fastest, most reliable, and predictable method. What this does for you then is it lays down a solid cash flow foundation. I hope those words really ring nicely in people's ears. I meant it just like that, cash flow foundation. Now you can more seriously endeavor into the more sophisticated method, but a new person would not know how to differentiate that. Oh, you mean private label is more advanced than arbitrage? Yeah, much more difficult. Basically, more variables are involved with each subsequent sourcing method. So I'll talk about first of all, I think it's really important to emphasize the importance of Amazon is, so my background is I build sales funnels. I've been doing that for coming up on 15 years. So it's, that is a very advanced skill set that takes a long time to learn so that you can get traffic and conversions. So you can set that aside completely as an Amazon seller because Amazon is the biggest, most amazing sales machine that's ever been built on the planet. They have the beautiful prime customer base for which 2/3 of your listeners right now, all throughout America, that is, are prime customer buyers, and that is what really drives the Amazon engine and machine. So we have our credit cards in hand, some of us several credit cards in our Amazon account, true, whether business and personal and some combination thereof. But I'll just say they have done all the sales and marketing. So what it remains is for us to get the right products in that will sell quickly and profitably. That's kind of the sum game of it. So I'm going to repeat that again. We want to find the products that sell quickly, called velocity. They're flipping fast, meaning your dollar works harder for you, and you want them to be profitable. So I think we can all agree on that. We'll nod our heads. That makes total business sense. So what we do through the arbitrage method is we tap into what's already selling, where the fish are already swimming. So we're not going upstream, we're going downstream with where that sales flow is. And so that's what we do with arbitrage. This is I'm going to call it scientific. And what I mean by that is you have all the data in advance of your buying decision. As opposed to, if you're going to go private label, you're going through a bunch of stats and data, but, it can take 6 to 9 months before you get that private label product into the Amazon ecosystem, and by then, maybe the marketplace has changed. We certainly saw that with COVID-19. But by the way, let me just throw out a quick stat. $33 million per hour through the Amazon buy box during Q1 of this year through Amazon. 54% of that is going into the homes of mom and pop third-party sellers. 54% of that $33 million per hour. And it's a very generous pie to take advantage of it, of which we call it the Amazon Lucky Bucket. All right, so let's get back to the arbitrage. Arbitrage is just like house flipping to an extent. I think most of us know what it means to flip a house. You buy a fixer-upper. I mean, don't they have a bunch of TV shows on this, right? You buy a fixer-upper, you fix it up, and you flip it for a profit. But in the case with arbitrage online with products, there's no fixing up. You're going to buy a product through data points that you can either do through your phone. Amazon gives you the app, and you go into local stores and you scan with your app. And it's going to dish up all these data points. And we teach people how to interpret those data points. That's who wins the game. Who's got the most relevant data points and who knows how to best interpret them so they are a smart, savvy business owner, right? So you get that data, so you can do it through local retail arbitrage. We specialize in online. And the reason we do it online is because you can scale it up and you can offset literally every task of your business off onto someone else. So tickle your ears, I'm talking about an automated e-commerce business. And we do this in spades, in 90 days, sprint. All right, so with arbitrage, so you would, through the online method, you would look at we have, for example, a big list of all these online stores. And you're going to look for what's called a price differential. And we show example after example of this, meaning, it's selling for $15 on some wholesale site, let's just say, or these are actually online retail stores. Let's just say it's Walmart. And it's $15, but my goodness sakes, it's selling for $59. And yes, those kind of price differentials exist. They're not always going to be that broad, but $59 in the Amazon ecosystem. And so through your calculations, you can know in advance your profit and your return on investment and also the sales velocity, how quickly you can anticipate it selling. It's better than investing, in my opinion, crypto, precious metals. I've done real estate, et cetera, et cetera. So there's this extremely high level of predictability. So what you do then after we have a proprietary spreadsheet, a software tool that we design, you input the data points or you have someone do it for you. That's the second half of our training, which would be typically a virtual assistant. So as you put in the data points in our spreadsheet, it will automatically on the far right indicate your profit and your return on investment. Because we want to know in advance. Remember, you make the money when you buy. That's what they say in real estate. You make the money when you buy, meaning you're making a smart, calculated decision. So it will light up either red, yellow, or green in these different categories in our far right column. So it's visual, which uses the brain bandwidth, and we go, I got green all across the board. This is going to make me some money. And then you place your order, And this is the next step then. The order will come to you, and you will need to ship it in as what's called an FBA Seller Fulfillment by Amazon. And this is what I call the spoil me rotten business model, which means Amazon will take over from there. So they've done all the traffic, right? They bring that in. All you do is get your product in, you ship it into their warehouse, and they take over from there. When that sale is transacted, they'll pull it off their shelf there, and they'll ship out to the customer. So now we're enlightened. And when we order through Amazon, you can think, wow, there's a 54% chance that this product came from an Amazon third-party seller. And so I call it the redistribution of opportunity, which I prefer over redistribution of wealth. This is an opportunity that is afforded to really just about anybody that can do this. And so, again, it is buying low, selling high, and we pocket the profit. So this is a very scalable model, and every step can be offset, including you can say, I don't want to be prepping and packing products. How does that work, Ann? Well, there's a whole industry that's risen around the Amazon third-party sellers, and they're called a Prep Center, where you can have those products when you order them. They go directly to that Prep Center, and then they'll do that. You have to ship things the Amazon way. They've got very, strict rules about that. And then they'll ship it in, and they'll all be tracked and identified to your Amazon seller ID. But, wait a minute. Now there's a cost of a VA, and there's a cost of a prep center. That's all in our calculation spreadsheet. Every cost is factored in. We don't want any gotchas here in this business model. We want it bulletproof. So that's what we've accomplished. We're 7 years out. We serviced over 8,000 members in this method. And now our specialty is doing that in a 90-day sprint to have everything set up, including the VAs, including the shipping center. And you can have, I'm not going to say 100% hands off. You're going to be the CEO, owns the business, and you maybe check in 20 minutes a day. That's what we're shooting for. That's what we have members who've been able to accomplish. That was a lot. Questions?
So I guess next step. So my question is next step. So if somebody is listening to this and they want to learn more about either Amazon arbitrage, or they just want to learn more about some of the other things that you're doing at e-commerce business school. So final question, two-part question. If somebody does, number one, what are typically the right types of fit to work with you and your team? And number two, what's the best way for them to reach out and really to learn more about the courses or Amazon arbitrage or anything else you're up to?
All right, that's a great question. I really appreciate it because I am very candid when I do my informational webinars, for example, and I'll say to people, this isn't for everybody. So what I mean by that is people have to be able to follow instructions. They have to have a mental bandwidth and capacity to follow instructions. They're fairly detailed. You've got to be, neurons on, you're tracking with it. We give enormous support. We've got a 10-day accountability boot camp. We have an end-of-day tracker. We've got all the supportive business tools, I'll say entrepreneurial, to support the endeavor of shifting into this model. But it's by no means like so arduous and so complicated. It's just incredible, the swath of people that go through our training program. So I guess I would say it's really prefaced and predicated with, do you have the time to go through some training? Do you have the mental discipline to take the action steps? Everything's laid out very linear, step by step. You actually check off as you go. We have a private mastermind group. It becomes so bulletproof. I tell people the only way you can fail is if you don't show up. And sadly, we see that. People have the intent, but life gets in the way or whatever, and they fail to show up in their business. And they don't understand, that you really got to get behind your business. So I hope that helps because I've been mentoring people online 15 years, so I've kind of seen the gamut of what it takes. I have seen, I'm going to say, people who know how to follow a linear step-by-step process do really well. Perhaps a little more on the analytical side, but again, it's just following directions. In terms of finding out more about us, it's ecommercebusinessschool.com. and you'll see the opportunity to access some free training, which is actually a bigger picture overview of what I've just described. So ecommercebusinessschool.com.
Fantastic. Well, Ann, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about all the great work you're doing over at your school. And also to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review on the Apple iTunes Store. And if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Marketing, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments in the video. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Ann, thanks again for coming on the show.
Awesome. Well, thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it.